Okay, again, thank you for joining Career Innovations on our weekly Q&A session. This session is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which you can access following the workshop. Our YouTube channel is Career Innovations, all one word, so there's no space. And when that comes up, you'll see our logo right here. That'll pop up, and you can actually go to our web page or our YouTube channel and listen to past workshops. And I made it very convenient that I've actually put Q&A session, and you can actually click on the description and look at the questions that are asked in the Q&A session. So that way it'll save you time on only listening to the ones that may be beneficial to you versus having to listen to the entire session just to figure out that, hey, this doesn't meet my need. So I put the questions asked in the description. You can ask question one or two ways depending on how you logged in. You can raise your hand, I can unmute your mic, and you can verbally ask your question. If you don't want to verbally ask your question, you can definitely type your question in the bar down below. And we will actually get to that. We'll actually get back to that question. Or we'll get to your question that way as well. So there's a chat box feature at the bottom of your bar. If this is your first time joining us, I'd like to give like a 30-second quick overview of who Career Innovations is, what we do, who am I. I'm Bridget Baggett. I'm the Director of Staffing and Recruiting with Career Innovations. I'm also the founder of Career Innovations. We launched back in 2007 as an executive referral firm. Our niche is IT, healthcare, informatics, and engineering, but we also have branched out as well. One of my favorite quotes, or one of the quotes I like to start off with is, if life is so short, why do we do so many things we don't like and like so many things that we don't do? And that's something that you can think about as well, whether you're making a career change, whether you're working in a position that you feel that's not going anywhere, a dead-end role, whether you've reached your potential at your current position and you're looking for a challenge, that's something that you might want to ask yourself as well. So as I do recruit, as I reach out to candidates, I realize I can't place every single person that comes across my desk. So that's why I do offer these Q&A sessions. Again, there's no cost to you for this. This is something that I like to give as a resource to those that may be looking to reach out to decision makers and get themselves a position without relying on any type of third party. So I really do like being able to extend a helping hand and answering any questions that you may have. So go ahead, let's get started. Navigating your career search. And if you've joined any of my past workshops, I've talked about having some type of plan of action in place. And again, I really do urge you to go out there on YouTube, take a look at some of these past workshops that are uploaded, so that way some of this stuff may ring a bell. But first thing we talk about is having some type of plan of action in place. What's your preliminary plan? This is a plan that you need to have in place before you even start marketing yourself. This is knowing the companies that you want to market to, knowing the industry that you want to be in. Are you looking to make a lateral move? Are you looking to make put yourself in a position where you're making a move that's going to promote or elevate your current skill set? These are things that you need to think about as well when you're putting your plan together. And again, this is something that you do before you start even marketing yourself. Once you get to that point that you already know what industry that you're going to target, what type of jobs you're looking to do, that's when you want to put a marketing plan in place. And all a marketing plan is, it tells the employer why they should hire you. That's pretty much what a marketing plan is. How you're going to get in front of the decision makers, that's where your competitive research tools come into play. How are you going to get all this marketing material, which may include your resume or your CV or your portfolio or your last quarter numbers, whatever you're trying to use to market yourself, what tools are you going to use to get this in front of the decision makers? And I know a lot of people say, well, I'm applying online. That's only one way. And again, it goes back to after you do your research, look at what other people are doing to get themselves in front of decision makers. Applying online is just a fraction or just a piece of the puzzle that you can do. Of course, applying online eventually gets you in front of the decision maker if you're among the candidates that are selected to move forward. But what if you're not? What if you're applying to a job that hundreds of other applicants are applying to? What makes you think that they're even going to see your resume, or know who you are? So this goes back to, how are you planning on getting yourself in front of decision makers outside of just applying online? Whether you're having some type of visibility through LinkedIn, you're using Facebook, you're using Google to do X-ray searches or web scraping to find patterns in emails, to reach out directly to employers directly through their email. Maybe you're picking up the phone after connecting with them on LinkedIn and actually calling them. Whatever way you're using, you need to find a way to get in touch with these decision makers in addition to applying through their career portals. And once you start to do that, you want to start building a relationship. And I think I had a question in regards to an informational interview. And I think that actually is a question that came up as we were getting started about interviewing. And then I actually I see some more questions came up. So this isn't going to take long, and I'll cover those questions in just a sec. But this is when you also want to start building relationships, and this can be done through an informational interview. Once you can get that decision maker on the phone, once you can make that connection, you want to make sure that you also can give something back as well. Either information, some type of way that you can be an asset to the organization through your skill set. You don't want to just be reaching out to ask for a job, because all that's going to do is, kind of frustrate the potential hiring manager, and they're going to just point you back to the website. We'll apply online. So you want to find some type of non-invasive, non-intrusive way besides, hey, I'm looking for a job, where you hire me approach. You don't want that type of approach. You want to build a relationship where this is going to be a two-way street. Which, when something becomes a two-way street, that means, if you're looking for them to give you something or give you an opportunity, how and what way can you service them? That's something that you need to think about as well, because that's what a relationship's all about. It's a two-way street. You have two people to come together, and it's a give and take type of approach. And if you don't have anything to give, and all you're doing and you're just giving off a taking approach, what jobs can I get? Who can you hook me up with? Who can you bridge that gap for? Who you can refer me to? And it's all about me, 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 me. Eventually, that person would, first of all, not answer your phone calls, not respond to your emails, and again, point you right back to their career portal. So you're going to have to think of ways in which you can build a relationship. Start selling yourself. I put that in there, but it's really about selling a solution. It's a reason why they have this particular opening. And if you're online and you're applying to jobs, every single opening or every single vacancy that you have is really a problem. If they have an open sales position, evidently there's a problem. We need an extra salesperson, because either sales are down, someone left our company, or this particular department is growing, so we need additional hands. There's some type of problem there that needs to be solved. So that's how you should be looking at every single position that's open out there. They have a problem. So instead of selling yourself, or in addition to selling yourself, you should be thinking about, how am I going to sell a solution? How am I going to solve this problem that they have compared to everyone else that they may be interviewing? Next one is closing the deal. And what people usually lack, even after they get the interview, is the follow-up. Many people don't follow up. Or if they follow up, it turns into borderline stalking. And I call it the three strikes and you're out rule. You have 3 times I try to reach out to you in 3 different formats of communication. If you don't answer, sometimes follow up or sometimes feedback is knowing when to walk away. You don't have to reach out to that person 10 or 15 times. Sometimes silence is an answer. Silence is a form of communication. So if you're not getting feedback, if they're not responding back to you, move on. Use that energy to look for other organizations, other people that you can network with, other people you can build relationships with, and move forward. Because what happens that you end up spinning your wheels and wasting your time with a company or organization that's never going to hire you. And guess what? If they will, or if they're going to consider you, they have your number, they have your contact information, they'll reach out to you. So I always call it the 3 rules and you're out. That means I communicate it in 3 different ways. Usually if I've had an interview, I'm sending a thank you note, following up written communication. Following that, I might send an email to follow up what the status is, or I might send them an article of interest depending on gauging on how our interview went. Might send them an article or interest. The 3rd time I reach out to them is going to be via phone. Whether I get them on the phone or not, I'm leaving a voicemail. So I've touched or tried to touch base with them 3 different times. So this goes for anybody. If you call someone or reach out to them in 3 different times, not only 3 different times, 3 different ways, and they haven't reached back out to you or attempted to respond back, what does that tell you? Either something's come up, or it may be something that's not either preventing them from reaching out, or they may not have an update, or whatever. And I'm not saying that what they're doing or their method of not communicating is right. I'm not saying that. So don't confuse me giving them a break from them not responding back. I think not responding back, I agree with everyone else. It can be very rude. It can be very frustrating. And I have these conversations with hiring managers all the time. But other than that, other than giving them an understanding of what's going on, and if they still don't respond back, that, now the ball's in your court to move on. And that's all I'm saying, that you have to have some type of follow-up process in place. I usually do about a week apart, and some type of feedback process in place. And then after that, you're moving on. And the thing is, you wouldn't get so hung up on the follow-up and feedback process if you had other opportunities in the pipeline. So let's move on from here. And this is something I get asked all the time, so I went ahead and made some slides about this, and then we'll move on to some of the questions, the strategies. How do you get closer to your goals? And this goes for interviewing. This goes for networking. Honestly, this goes not only for your professional, but also your personal life as well. These are strategies that you want to have to get closer to whatever goal that you may have, and may not only be something far as job oriented, but closer to a professional goal. This can be anything, but far as interviewing, far as being professional, and say you have a goal that you want to you have in place that you're trying to obtain, some of the strategies I look at and some of the steps that you can take is, you want to do first thing. Step 1, think like a consultant. So if you're in an interview, you need to think of this person that's interviewing you, not as a person that's going to put you on their payroll, but for someone that's going to actually put you on a particular job or task that they're hiring you a lump sum for. So think of yourself as a consultant, a third party that's actually being hired to do something. What if this was not a job and you're not a job seeker, but you were a service provider or a consultant? How would you approach the writing process, or how would you approach the interviewing process? This goes for your resume as well. That's why I have writing process. When you're putting together your resume, how would you write this out? So that's the same thing. And I just use trades for an example. If I was a contractor and I'm looking for someone to, I need someone to put in new hardwood floors, or I need someone to put in some drywall, whatever the case may be. And guess what? I live in a pretty big city where, it's about 20 or 30 companies that do exactly what I'm looking to do. Why am I going to pick you? Why are you the best? Why are you the person that I should go to for this particular service? That's what you need to think of, and that's how you need to think as a consultant, because you're going to have competition. Just like these companies out here have competition, they're competing out there for business. You're competing out there for people that want that same job. So how are you going to stand out from everybody else that's competing for that same job? What makes your service better? And it's not even better. What makes it different? Because not necessarily it could be a better service, because guess what? Drywall is drywall. Hardwood is hardwood. So when it comes to something as black and white as that, it may not be a such thing as a better. But it's always a reason why someone picks one service over another. And it may not be because it's better. What is it? Did you solve something much, uniquely? Were you able to do something in a better or a timely manner? Hey, this person may be using the same product, the same type of wood, but he does it faster. That's his edge. That's his advantage. Nothing unique about the product, nothing unique about the drywall or the hardwoods, but he installs it faster. Or the customer service is better. Whatever it is, you're going to have to think of what makes me better or what makes me more competitive than the same people that may be applying to this job, that may have the same education, that may have this exact same experience. What's going to set me apart? So that's when I think about putting on a consultant hat. And you are a service provider. What's going to differentiate your skill set from everyone else? Second step, research needs. Many candidates are so hung up on the requirements and neglect the needs of the organizations. You need to research the needs and develop a strategy to convince the employer that you, the perfect candidate, are the best possible solution for the company's existing plans. So if this is a mouthful for you, what it's really saying is, don't get so hung up on what the requirements are of the organization. Look for what the needs are. The requirements and needs are two different things. And it goes back to being able to solve a problem, being the solution. That's why I keep emphasizing that, because that's all job openings are. We have a problem, we need someone, or we're hiring someone to solve it. That's all a job opening is. So you're going to have to not get so hung up on the requirements and research the needs. Besides a marketing manager, say the openings had the opening for a marketing manager, and I use that very loosely because a marketing manager is so general. But I'm just going to use this just for example's sake. Say they're looking for a marketing manager. You're looking at the requirements, where they have to have a bachelor's degree or they have to have X amount of experience. And all that's fine and dandy, but look at, okay, what's the marketing? What's the service that they're marketing, or the product that they're marketing? What is their competitor doing? How long has this product or service been out, or how long does it have to take to go to market? You're going to be looking at what is this company really trying to do with this marketing manager? This marketing manager gets filled. Where does this marketing manager play in the department a year from now or 2 years from now? So you want to look at how you're going to be able to solve a problem and meet the company's needs long term. And again, this takes research. This is something that you might not find just in the job description. You may have to look at a couple newsletters or press release to figure out where the company stands in the industry. So that's why you need to also look at the research needs. Let's look at the third step. Third step is enhance your differentiators. How would you convince prospective employers to hire you and not the competition? What are your qualifiable accomplishments that make you different? That's something, again, it goes back to the very first one, where you're looking at when you're actually thinking like a consultant, you're going to have to be able to know what differentiates you from everyone else. And that also takes time to look at your competition. Look at what they're bringing to the table and, compare it to yourself. How do you measure up? Are you bringing that same competitive edge? So you also need to understand when you start to apply to these organizations, look at the people that already are working there. Look at their backgrounds. Are you a person that could actually fit in not only to their company culture, but are you kind of a trend of what they hire? What are your qualifiable accomplishments? And believe it or not, there's some companies, I've looked at companies and worked with companies that, most of the people that they work there, I could see a trend that everyone that worked there, especially consulting firms, worked at major Fortune 500 companies. 90% or 95% of their employees came from a major Fortune 500 company. So that already had in my mind to think that, well, they're looking for someone that's coming from a major Fortune 500 company. So you want to also look at the differentiators and look at some of the trends within the company and any type of hiring patterns that you see. Let's look at step 4. Be the solution, and we talked about that. Past performance also serves as a potent should probably be potential. A potential indicator of future outcomes, which is your return on investment, which is your ROI. How are you a solution to past employers? What are you doing now that can potentially solve the organization's problems? So you want to make sure that you're going to not only be the solution, that you can present a solution to the employer. Step 5, evidence. You want to be able to show proof. It's so easy for you to put on your resume that I, increased sales, or I, XYZ. I increased the bottom line, or I did this, or I did. It's so easy to make an empty statement, and that's exactly what it becomes. It becomes an empty statement. You want to show evidence. You want to have proof. Stating that you increased sales or improved the process is just that, a statement. You should be able to answer the how in your statements. The how makes the statement real and not just a cliche. So there's so many people out there that just put, empty statements into their resume, or even in their interview. They can say, hey, how did you bring value to your organization? And you can say, well, I increased sales by 25% in the last quarter. Awesome. Are you convinced? No, because you didn't tell me how you did it. So you want to make sure that you're putting the how in there. Did you develop some type of process, or did you train the sales force to increase sales, or did you do something different this quarter than you did last quarter, and you saw the difference in the method of reaching out to your potential clients, and also in turn increase your sales? Whatever you did, you want to make sure that you're putting that in there. Next thing, or the last thing you want to also think about, is your self-marketing strategy. And that's when the human capital comes into play. Not so much as you as a product or a tangible item, but what you're offering is a service, and it should be marketed like such. A self-marketing strategy, what do you have to offer? That's the product or service. That's you. Price, that's your salary or your compensation. What is your value in the marketplace? What's the current market rate for what you're looking for? Based on demographics, current salary and compensation. What's the going rate? And that's really going to be influenced by the demand. Is there a high demand for your particular industry, or a high demand for what you do? Promotion. How are you going to promote yourself? What themes or messages are you going to convey? And how are you going to get yourself in front of those decision makers? And that brings us down to place and positioning. How would you distribute yourself on the market? Besides just applying online, what are some other avenues are you going to take to get yourself in front of decision makers? That's something that you have to do. So you want to make sure that you're going to have some type of self-marketing strategy in place. I think that was all for tonight. And like I said, I didn't get too many questions in. Usually this thing is an hour. Sometimes can go over. So I wanted to put in what I had, and I'm more than happy to take questions, scenarios, anything. We're on LinkedIn under Career Innovations, Facebook under Career Innovations. You can link up with me on LinkedIn, Bridget Baggett, about the only Bridget Baggett on there. So if you type my first and last name in, you'll see me. Again, we're on LinkedIn, Pinterest. You can see some resume samples on there. If you want to talk to me live one-on-one, I really encourage you to go online at career-innovate.com and actually book or schedule a phone appointment. That's the best way to get me on the phone, because I can tell you I'm rarely sitting behind my desk waiting for the phone to ring. So if you call the office, you're probably going to get my voicemail. But if you do, I'm at extension 101. Another great way to get in contact with me is by email. Email goes not only to my laptop, but to my phone, and I always have my phone with me. So that's probably the best or quickest way for me to get a response is through email. So let me go ahead and answer some of these questions that I have already set up, and we'll see who's asked some questions so far. Okay, if while interviewing or if while answering in an interview question you realize you're not answering the question that the interviewer asked, can you admit to them that you realize that you're not answering the question that they asked and have them repeat the question? Yeah. And keep in mind, and that's why people don't, when you're in interviews, keep in mind, people that are interviewing they're human just like you and me. They know that this is intense for you as the job seeker or you as the candidate. They know that this can be a situation that's very tense. They know that you can come in nervous. They know that everybody's not an expert at interviewing. They know this, and some people are very sympathetic and they empathize with you. If you do make a hiccup or make a mistake or don't answer a question to your best ability, they take all this into consideration. So say if you are answering a question or if they asked a question, you're not answering it 100% to the best of your ability, or just say that you go off on a tangent. Acknowledge it, and I like the way that you said that you realized it, and you can actually admit this to the interviewer. You can say something like, "No, I know you asked me X, Y, Z. It seems like I went off track, but let me go ahead and redirect my answer back to that question." And then you can go talk, and then answer that question. So you can acknowledge that, hey, I didn't answer the question right, or maybe I went off track. Well, let me go ahead and redirect myself back to that question, and here's my answer. So you can definitely acknowledge that maybe that answer wasn't the best answer and give it another shot. Nothing's wrong with that, and they're not going to think anything different of you because you did redirect the question or got back on track. It's totally fine. So to answer your question, yes, you definitely can admit that or admit that you realize you may not be answering the question, or maybe you, like you said, went on a tangent or got off track. Redirect the question back to the interviewer's statement or question if you need to. Hey, can you restate that, or can you re-ask that, or can you repeat that? Definitely that's not going to be an issue. And then go ahead and answer that question to the best of your ability. So I don't see a problem with that. See, another question is, looks like what is the best way to time manage your search? Networking, updating resume, LinkedIn applications, research, etc. And I actually had a slide on this, and I did a workshop on how long would it take managing your time. It basically was a workshop on time management. So the best way to answer your question is pretty much how will you manage your time with your career search. And that's why I go back to that first slide. And I'm going to actually go back so everyone could take a look at this, just so we can have some memories about putting your plan in place. And when you do this, you should have time frames on how long this is going to take, and each piece, how much of a commitment that you're going to put into it each day. Building relationships is probably, to me, should take the biggest chunk of your time out each day. And you're probably thinking, why? Because guess what? Those online applications are going to be there after 5 o'clock. That hiring manager you're trying to get a hold of won't. So that's why I think that building relationships, actually getting out there, getting employers on the phone, sending those emails, following up, going to networking events, joining industry-related associations, being active either through volunteer work, nonprofit work, whatever you can to get yourself out there, that's going to have a bigger impact than an online application. And I've seen this from experience. You know, I've seen people get jobs that weren't so much qualified for them, but got them because they knew someone. They had a relationship with someone inside that organization. See it all the time. So I really do think that building relationships and getting yourself out there, knowing who's who, and being able to build some type of rapport with those people, that's going to be your strongest. And again, these people become your advocates. You know, when you are applying to jobs, you can have these people become an advocate and be your cheerleader as you're going through the process. And you're just not in some database being stagnant. So I really think a bulk of your time should be going towards building relationships. Social media, I know that you asked about LinkedIn, updating your resume, things of that nature. That's stuff that you can do on your downtime. When I mean on your downtime, non-business hours. Because LinkedIn's going to be there after the office is closed. Your resume, being honest with you, your resume should be done in your preliminary plan. Because right here, after you acknowledge what industries that you're going to focus on, the companies that you want to actually zoom in on, after you have that plan together, you should be putting together your marketing plan, and that should include a resume. You know, whether or not you have to update it, it's people been out there that, been with a company and they recently got laid off, and their last resume they done been back in 98, because that's the last time they had to use it. And I tell people again, what got you the job in 98 is not going to get you the job in 2015. So you may have to take time to either redo your resume or send it out to get professionally done through a company that specializes in editing resumes. Career Innovation does that. There are other companies that do that as well. You can do that as well to put together some type of to get yourself marketable. And that's where your LinkedIn and everything comes in as far as your research tools. You can use LinkedIn to find the decision makers. Also, you should be putting together your LinkedIn profile to be competitive. Shouldn't be just a skeleton profile. Those are the ones with just, a one-liner for each job and a photo, and they call, hey, my profile's done. That's not a complete profile, because I can guarantee you, if I'm searching for a particular industry and you're in it, if you don't have the keywords that I'm looking for, you're not going to come up in my search. So if you're not coming up in my search, that means, to me, you don't have a LinkedIn profile, because I can't find you. If I can't find you, probably other recruiters or hiring managers can't find you either if they're doing a search in your industry and you're not coming up as one of the results. So make sure that you have a very competitive LinkedIn profile out there as well. So in terms of how you should actually manage your time, like I said, I would look at if I wake up in the morning, the bulk of my day would go through networking, building relationships. I would spend time, and I know some people have a number, I want to apply to at least 10 jobs today, or I want to apply to just 5 jobs today. You can have a number, but then again, a number can be very subjective depending on how long it takes to do an application. I have some people that can apply to 10 jobs in an hour, because guess what? All their jobs are just click and send. Hey, just click it, attach my profile, I'm done. Then you also have those applications will take you 45 minutes. You got page 1 of 8 that you got to fill out. So having a number can be very subjective depending on what type of company or how big the company it is that you're applying to. Their expectations or their quote unquote application process can be very strenuous. So I wouldn't so much put a number to it. I would put a time limit. Hey, I'm going to spend from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock filling out applications. And how many you fill out in those 2-hour time frame is how many you fill out. Because guess what? If you have a number of 10, it may take you 2 hours to fill out 10 applications today, and it may take you 5 hours to fill out 10 applications tomorrow, depending on how long each application is. So that's why I really don't care too much about the number. I know other people do, but don't waste your time. 2 hours is long enough. 2 hours can at least get you 5 or 6 applications in, depending on how, or it could get you 3 or 4 big applications into some of these Fortune 500, because I know Fortune 500 companies, they still use that long, drawn out 1 of 8 page application. Hey, whatever works, works. So you definitely want to make sure that you're putting time to do it, but you're not making that the bulk of your day. Because I can see how being swamped and being overloaded in online applications can take the bulk of your day, but it doesn't generate results. There's so many people that spend all day filling out online applications and don't hear anything back. And they get discouraged. And then I say, well, have you been there? Well, I don't have time. I'm filling out applications. Yeah, you're filling out applications. In some cases, you're sending them to a black hole and you're not hearing anything back, but you're not utilizing that time actually getting out there and networking with people. Because what'll happen is if a person has a job that they want you to apply to, this happened to people I know. Hey, we got an opening. Hey, apply online. After you finish, shoot me an email. I've had people do it all the time. They'll network with someone that works for a company they don't even know is hiring. And the person would say, after you apply, shoot me an email and I'll push your application through. Or I send that job number straight to XYZ. That's getting results in a job application. That's getting some results. So that's one good thing about it. And I hope I was able to answer your question. As far as that, I definitely would use the time to be networking more so. Have your day filled with activities that are going to bring you closer to decision makers. Doesn't necessarily, and don't mistake that networking always means that you're going out to a networking event. Networking can be, I'm picking up the phone talking to a decision maker. I'm calling the director of XYZ to get them on the phone. That's networking to me. That's an activity that's getting you closer than just applying online. So networking doesn't necessarily mean an actual event. It can be that I'm participating in an activity that's bringing me closer to my goal, other than just applying on an online website. Because guess what? You plus 100 other people are applying to that same job. So I don't see any more questions. Please submit any questions that you may have. Thank you so much. I am getting some thank yous. I appreciate you joining me tonight. I'm glad I was able to answer your questions. Let me see if there's any hands raised. I'll unmute your mic if there is. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to be ending about 15 minutes early. I don't see any more questions. If you do have questions, I'll take you back to my my contact information. Shoot me an email, and we'll definitely set up a time to talk, or you can plan some time online, and we can do that as well. Book a schedule a phone appointment then. We do this every week, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. After this workshop, there is a survey. Please take the survey. It lets us know what we can do, how we can better our best, topics that you'd like to talk about in the future or touch base on. Anything that we can do to improve this format, let us know. So definitely leave that in our survey right after you close out of this workshop. Have a good day and see you next week.